Hello everybody and welcome back to another Quilted Cow tutorial. I'm your host for the day, Stacy, and today we're going to be working on this really adorable little mini wallet. But before we get started on this, I'd like to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking, Creative Grids, and Wilmington Prints. All right, so today we are working on this helpful Heifer mini wallet. And this thing is incredible because first of all, it's a very quick project to make, but also if any of you are doing quilting retreats or anything like that, you can make this, put your ID in it and your cards for the day and just attach it to your lanyard and you've got it with you all day long. Or if you've got little kids, this is a perfect first time wallet for a little kid. I remember when my son was little and he absolutely loved having a little wallet like this. It just made him feel so important. So that is a really great project to do. We've got it on this beautiful postcard pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and make one for you. So today I have this really pretty Wilmington Prints fabric. This is called Blessed by Nature and it is gorgeous. So to get started, I've got everything cut. I've got my main fabric, my lining, my pocket fabric, and all of my interfacing. To begin interfacing, you want to make sure that your textured side, your granulated side, is facing up. And we're just going to fuse that material to the main fabric, the main pocket fabric, which is my beautiful pink floral. We've had a lot of fun working with this fabric. It is absolutely beautiful. And I feel like when you see a Wilmington floral fabric, it's just very inspirational. It's very, very pretty. Now I'm just doing the same thing, but I'm fusing to the lining material. Just putting those granulated sides against the material. And the pattern does say to start by fusing everything, which is always the easiest. And I like to get everything fused and I like to prep each section. So instead of necessarily just step by step after you've made this pattern so many times, it's so easy to do. You can very simply go through and just do each step at a time. So now we're going to fuse the interfacings to the main fabric. Remember, you're always going to fuse to the wrong side of the fabric. And I like to have my fabric side facing up. That way I don't get any of that glue on my material. So while we're pressing everything, and like I said before, you can always follow the pattern in the steps of the pattern. But since I've made this so many times, I like to prep everything and then go over to the sewing table. So I'm going to go ahead and prep this cute little D-ring loop tab. And to do that, we're just going to fold it in half, wrong sides together, and press it. Then you're going to open it and you're going to bring these long edges inward towards the center and press it again. And you're going to do that on both sides. Okay, so now we've almost got everything ready to sew, but before we move over to the sewing machine, there's still a few more things that we need to do. So in this pattern, it actually does call for a few helpful things to make this. So we like to have a curved edge. I'm just going to use my Creative Grids ruler and trim that interfacing off slightly. But we like to have a curved edge. And so what I like to do is I'm going to layer the main fabric with the lining fabric right sides together. Or sorry, they're just layered. Right sides to wrong side. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half completely. You don't have to press it with your iron at this point. You're just folding it so that you've got these raw edges all the way across. And we're going to use this little thread now. So the purpose of this is to trace and give yourself a curved edge. So I'm going to use my friction pen and I'm just going to trace around this curve. And then I'm going to clip it on each side as I cut that off. That way the fabric doesn't move around too much on me. Tidy up after myself as I go. And then after you've got all of these curved edges, now you're going to fold this in half, the lengthwise. So this is short way. Now we're going to fold it lengthwise. And we're doing this because we're going to mark a place for our magnetic snaps. Now, a few of you probably have never used magnetic snaps before. These ones are really easy. They are not sew-in magnetic snaps. These are just kind of like you punch your hole and you go. So I'm just going to finger press this so that I have a nice seam. And you can kind of see this seam going down the center all the way down. And I've got that seam on both pieces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them right sides together. And I'm just going to use my ruler and I'm going to measure an inch. You want to measure the inch from the top. Since these are both non-directional fabrics, it doesn't matter which end is the top or which is the bottom. It's easier for me to mark it from the bottom and then move it. So now I have a nice line an inch down on both pieces, and I'm going to prep for my magnetic snap. So to do that, you have these really tiny little, teeny tiny little rings, really small little rings. And if you see, there's a hole in the center and then there's holes on each side. I'm going to lay that center hole right where I marked on my inch mark line. And then I'm just going to draw into these open spaces. So now I have 3 lines. One is a center line and then 2 side lines. And that is where I'm going to cut. Okay, so I have drawn the lines on each of my pieces, and now I'm just going to cut on those vertical drawn lines, not the horizontal one that we marked for the 1-inch seam, just the vertical ones, not the horizontals. So I'm just going to use this nice little cutter here. Be careful, don't cut yourself with it. Okay, so now that everything has been cut, we're going to put our magnets on. So you're going to put the stud side or the male side, depending on how the pattern reads, through the main right side of the lining material. So I'm just going to pop that through, give you a look. And this is what it's going to look like on the back. Now, when you're putting it on the back, we're going to go ahead and take this piece that we measured with, and we're going to just slide it right on there. And then you just fold these prongs down. And that is how simple and easy it is to attach your magnet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the main fabric side, which is also the socket side or the female side, depending on which pattern you're reading. So I've got those pieces ready. I'm going to go ahead and mark my lining piece. We're going to mark this 2.5 inches from this bottom edge, so opposite of the snap side. And you'll see why we're marking that in a moment once we get it fully put together. And now it's time to begin sewing. So if you remember, we pre-folded and pressed this D-ring. Now we're just going to do a little top stitching on it, 1/8 of an inch down this edge. Go ahead and slide the D-ring through. And I'm going to just top stitch across this edge or baste stitch across this edge to attach it so that my D-ring isn't flopping around. And now we're going to assemble our pocket. So we've pressed our interfacing to the wrong side of the main fabric, and now we're just going to lay the lining to the pocket right sides together. And I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch seam down this long edge, and then we're going to press it, fold it and press it, and then top stitch it. So now we're going to assemble the entire project. If you remember, we drew this really nice line on there 2.5 inches from the bottom. And the reason why we drew it is because now we're going to lay our pocket piece in there. And you're going to want this beautiful folded top stitched edge to go towards the magnetic snap and the raw edge to be right over that pink line that we just drew. Then we're going to take our D-ring loop, and we're going to attach it or just lay it right here into the wallet. So it's going to be raw edges together, and I'll kind of lift it up so that you can see. We're just laying all of our raw edges right together so that when we turn it right side out, everything's facing the correct way. So now you're going to lay the main fabric with the magnetic side laying face down or right sides together, and magnets are going to be on opposite ends. We're going to go ahead and pin in place. Make sure that you pin the D-ring in place because you don't want that moving around. And you're going to stitch all the way around this project using a 2-inch opening, or sorry, leaving a 2-inch opening. You're going to stitch using a 1/4-inch seam allowance. When you feel you're going over that D-ring loop, you could backstitch to really hold it down and give it a little bit more sturdiness. All right, so we've got that completely stitched together all the way around, leaving a 2-inch opening, and I'm going to turn from that now. I've got my seam turned inside. Now, when you get to this part, you're probably thinking, this is not right, because you have a raw edge and an opening, and you're like, how is this wallet going to work? Just bear with me. I promise at the end, it'll all come together really nicely, and you'll be so excited that you decided to make one. So now I'm going to go ahead and press everything, and then I will show you how to top stitch to close and how to get rid of, or not really get rid of, but how to hide that raw seam that you're probably freaking out a little bit about. And be careful, don't iron over your metal, it will burn your material. I am speaking from experience. So the way that you can do this is you can top stitch all the way around, or you can go ahead and create your pocket and then top stitch all the way around, which is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to create my pocket and then I'm going to top stitch. And to do that, you're going to fold from the magnetic side, the bottom magnetic side up. And this is what it's going to look like when you press it, top stitch it. It's going to create that little pocket. So you're just covering that raw edge up. It's still in there, which is okay, but now it's hidden. And I'm just going to clip this and then stitch it all the way around. And after you do that, it's going to close that seam right here. And this is your finished look. So you have this really adorable little wallet that you can fit 1 or 2 cards in. It's really great for, like I said, sewing retreat. You can hang it from your lanyard. You can gift to little girls and boys. They would love these. It's a very quick and simple project. Remember, you can purchase this at thequiltedcow.com. Look for those beautiful Wilmington prints on there. They're gorgeous. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us. Thanks for watching.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.